Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Nerds with Friends. My name is Cody Leach, and as always, I'm joined by Christian Garcia.
Hello. You still need to play that live.
Yeah, it's true. I do need to play that live for maybe whenever we get to see people again. We are joined by one of our very favorite guests. Satine Phoenix is back with us, and she brought her husband, Jamison. Welcome, both of you guys.
Hello, everybody. I love that intro. That's rad.
Oh, thanks, man.
He played it.
Yeah, I just played it and wrote it on a guitar that I bought recently.
Oh
my
for real?
God,
Oh,
really?
that's really cool.
Yeah.
Oh, really good.
Yeah.
We were like, we need to, like, we haven't, so fun story too. This is actually, the day this comes out will be our 8th year anniversary
Yes.
of starting this podcast. And so like after 8 years, you know, we're like, we need to refresh some of our little songs and stuff that we play. So, I bought a guitar earlier this year because, you know, everyone's stuck inside, so might as well play some guitar. And that was recorded.
Cody just wanted to show off that he has musical skills and I have zero. So
Yeah.
You are a bard. I love it.
Yeah, exactly. Very on brand for today. So that's exciting. So we are going to be talking about you guys' new Kickstarter that has already launched at this point and is doing quite well, already funded as well. So congratulations there.
Thank you.
And before that, let's get all of our plugs out of the way, at least for us. You can follow us at Nerds with Friends on all social media. Check out nerdswithfriendspodcast.com for all of that info. And, of course, you can go to patreon.com/nerdswithfriends and get some fun rewards there as well. And OnlyFans coming soon. I don't know.
I don't know what we're going to do. People are asking, and I'm like, I don't know what we...
It started as a joke like a month ago, and now people keep like, dude, when's the OnlyFans coming out?
Oh, no.
And
I already have. This is your OnlyFans.
Okay.
It's the undercarriage of all those helicopters behind you.
There we go.
Yeah, that would be cool. Just like saucy photos of toys.
Choppers. That'd be great.
That would be great. Yeah, we'll have, and we have you guys can't see them here, but we have like a bunch of Transformers and stuff over there, and
Perfect.
you know, just pose them and lewd things.
See, I was thinking, I love Gremlins, and Cody hates Gremlins.
Yeah,
So I
he
just
hates
like
Gremlins.
maybe just do like, you know, have them all scantily cladded, hide them.
Yeah, we can.
I feel like that would be very successful.
Yeah.
Just a novelty of it would be really
You do a
good.
calendar.
Yeah, that was suggested already.
There you go.
Yeah, the calendar. Yeah, well, coming soon, I guess. We'll have to plan some content out before we release it, but that'll be fun. All right,
I hear a Kickstarter. Maybe a Kickstarter for this.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
exactly.
We'd have to come up with something. I don't know. We'll see. Or
Oh.
just Cody beard shots. That's all it would be. Just,
Yeah. Just me without the beard on, so
Yeah.
it's like naked face.
There we
That'd
go.
be pretty good. All right, let's get down to some nerdy confessions because I really want to talk about the Kickstarter. So let's do the nerdy confessions first, where we confess the things that make us nerds. Christian?
I started watching Shameless, and
Oh yeah, that's a good show.
it is a good show. I don't know how it survived. Like it's so like not okay.
Yeah, well,
But they make it okay.
I mean, it's just a bunch of horrible people living their lives.
Yeah.
It's cringy, right? It's like super
Yeah.
cringy.
But the weird thing is Frank Gallagher is just a garbage person,
Yeah.
but he's still likable.
Yeah.
You see, like he does horrible, but he's still a likable guy.
Well, it's like William H. Macy's like a good actor or something. you know?
Yeah. But I'm like kind of ashamed that I'm enjoying the show so much.
You should be shameless though.
I should.
You know? Don't worry about it.
But yeah, I've been enjoying it, but I'm kind of like I don't know if I should even be telling people I enjoy the show.
it's a good show, and all the actors do a really good job in it. So don't be afraid of that. All right, my nerdy confession is kind of D&D adjacent, we'll say. So I recently entered my first miniature painting competition.
Oh, you did it.
Oh,
Yep.
That's right.
I did. So it's not like one of the crazy big ones. Of course, like Golden Brush and all that stuff is all, or Golden Demon, I'm sorry, is all on hold because of COVID. But this company, Loot Studios, who does like 3D printing files, they had a competition. And so I joined it. And I didn't win, but it's fine.
I was just about to say, how do we rig it so you can win?
Yeah, I know. Well, the way they did it is like the studio themselves picked out the finalists and did like a tournament bracket. And so I think we get to vote on the tournament bracket. But out of, thousands of people, I did not make it.
Was
But,
it the Medusa?
Yeah.
I was gonna say, yeah. What minis do you paint?
Yeah. So I do. I started off doing D&D, and just because I created a character and I wanted a miniature version of him, and I didn't want it to be gray plastic because that just seems lame.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
It's sad. Yeah.
And so it started off with that. I made one in Hero Forge, and he looked terrible. But it was so fun just like sitting down and just doing it, and like at the end you're like, oh, this is how my character looks. So I started with that, but that was like a year and a half ago, and now I've gotten into like Warhammer 40K is just like taking over my life. But I also have a 3D printer, so I can print. I've joined a couple Patreons and Loot Studios, for instance, where every month they just like pump out new miniature models, and it's awesome. I might actually, I could share a screen and actually show you guys. Oh yeah, I got it up still. Cool. Share. There we go.
Oh,
my
nice.
god.
She's a cutie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it came out pretty well. This is my second bust I've ever printed. So I was pretty happy with how it turned out, and I just, I got an airbrush like, I don't know, 2 months ago. So pretty happy with how it turned out so far.
That's sad.
As a
But
person who's obsessed with makeup, that's a really good makeup job.
Yeah.
It's funny because our group chat, our actual D&D group chat, all the girls are like, Cody, we're gonna have to take hints from you.
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And the lipstick is fantastic.
Yeah,
Wow.
the highlights and then that deeper shadow up here.
Yeah, I worked really hard on it, and I'm really happy with how it came out.
I have to say this. I don't know if you guys are thinking it. That side boob is beautiful.
Yeah.
I like everything that's going on with it.
Yeah, it's a beautiful model, and they also make a full version of her where she's like showing some leg too, which is really nice. But it printed out well, which is kind of what started the whole thing. It was really fun, and learned a lot just like getting skin tone down, because that can be difficult. But the makeup was like, I had to consult a lot of female friends, like, what color eyeshadow should I use? I'm like, I don't know. Where does eyeshadow go? So it was, it was one of those tough ones. But very happy with it came out. Didn't win, but it was a good experience nonetheless. Got
Next
some
one.
feedback. Yeah. Next stop, Golden Demon.
I used to paint 40K Warhammer models. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
I've never done anything that large before, and the faces on those, on Warhammer,
Yeah.
it's like
So
really
small. You're just
small.
dotting the
Yeah.
eye barely, kind of thing.
Totally.
Yeah, it's hard to see on that picture, but she has like purple irises, and it's just like, trying to get that. And then I even did like the little reflection dots on the eyeballs.
That's rad.
Yeah, you can't do that on 40K. It's about like gay big, maybe about that tall, maybe 5 inches, 4 inches, something like that.
You like when you paint minis, man, you like get in this, at least for me, I'm getting this like meditative trance. I'd be like so in it. And
Yeah.
it's like there's nothing else like it.
100%.
I
Yeah.
don't know if you know them, but we have a bunch of minis down there that are from Iron Tusk.
Oh, okay. I haven't heard of them, but
Really beautiful.
Really?
Just, like some of my favorite, because they're so dynamic and almost wicked looking. They just take your
Nice.
fantasy and they refine it.
that's so cool. Yeah, I'm always looking for new stuff. I do like, I have yet to play my first full game of Warhammer though, because I'm building an army right now. But it's so fun when you have like, especially when you're doing like troops, to try to get them all looking fairly similar, but then
Totally. Yeah.
changing the scheme a little bit here and there to make it so
I would
still
take
interesting.
my X-Acto knife and like chop their arms off and put them in different poses and
Yeah.
like crazy dynamic poses.
That's
It's
awesome.
super fun. I don't know, one of my nerdy confessions, I'll do another one too, but like I definitely spent way more time painting than actually playing
Right.
Warhammer,
Same.
and
Yeah.
then probably more time reading the lore.
Me too.
than actually
I'm on like
playing.
book 4 of the Horus Heresy.
Like I haven't even read any of the books, but I know a lot just because
Yeah.
like he's telling me like what's going on.
Yeah, every time before we start, I'm like, okay, so there's the Primarchs, and they're like the sons of the Emperor, and the Emperor's like a god, but he doesn't like to be called a god, and then it just goes on forever.
The lore is, I'm a lore guy, so it's just the lore in 40K is so enthralling. to me.
And I never thought it would be, because Games Workshop, say what you will about them, they make excellent models, but they also make a lot of money based on how they do books and everything, way more so than like Wizards of the Coast. I never felt like I was getting ripped off buying the player's handbook, because everything in it is solid rules. In
Games
40
Workshop, on the other hand,
It's like 20 pages of rules.
So many lawns just to buy a piece of plastic. They had that dialed in, man.
Oh.
They knew what they were doing.
They are printing money over there for sure. But Yeah, the lore though is very interesting, not only in their official like rule books and stuff, but also in the novels. It's a lot of fun.
I was blown away. It was like a whole version of like Space Future that was
Yes.
just I remember being a kid. It really shaped a lot of the way that I see sci-fi.
Oh,
And that's
100%.
40K.
Yeah, it's 40K.
So I had I played Warhammer
Mhm.
and I had a Skaven army.
Oh,
And my
Warhammer
whole
Fantasy,
thing
yeah.
was I want a Secret of Nim
Hmm.
rat army. So I actually
Yeah.
like painted them and it was really fun. And I was like that. I was like, oh, I'm never gonna play this game at this point because it just takes so long to paint the minis. But
Right.
I took that dry grass.
Mm.
Yeah,
I
static
put that
grass.
I put it on their skin so that it was like fuzzy.
Oh,
It had,
nice.
Like awesome purple and
Flocked it.
gold. Yeah,
That's really
it was
cool.
really fun.
That is cool. That's one thing I love about the hobby is just finding like unique solutions for trying to make stuff small and look good.
I almost had more fun painting terrain too.
Yeah.
I got so into it with the terrain and like just posing them. It was just like they were like little dolls to me. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just so much fun.
I know it's so silly when I try to like explain it to people who are
Oh,
not
yeah.
in the nerd
It's
world
like
at
it's
all.
cool. They have guns. It's cool.
Yeah,
They
it's
have
cool.
guns.
Yeah, they're like blowing people up and stuff. It's fun. Let's go, Jameson. What's your nerdy confession?
I think the biggest one that I can think of before I officially met Satine Phoenix, I really didn't actually know who she was. I had seen Game Master Tips a couple times, but it was for the pilot for our Red Opera live stream
for your Kickstarter.
for our last Kickstarter.
Cool.
And Alquin, who's the game master, dungeon master, he did a fantastic dungeon master, and then Rick Hines, who's the lead writer for that project. Like, we have this like really amazing person who's going to be guest starring on our show. And I'm like, oh, awesome, great. Who is it? They're like, it's Satine Phoenix, and I was like, sweet. Like, that's great. I'm just like just like so focused on either like playing the games, content creating, or just like kind of reading the stuff. I'm not really into the whole scene really in that way. And so then we played the first half of the campaign. It's like a 4-hour game for the pilot. And I was playing this swashbuckling rogue like ship captain, and he's very talkative, very outgoing, and I was kind of carrying the conversation with Chubby Bunny, one of the other actresses, as we had kind of planned to have the narration go. And then Satine came in as this character named Amber Lightheart, and I was just totally floored. I was like, who is this goddess? And I like couldn't even talk for the second half of the whole show.
I was like, this, and it was both of us love at first sight.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I was like, oh, he's so quiet. What a
I
quiet
know.
person.
Yeah.
And then we watched, we did like a rewatch a couple of days later. And so I get to see, because I was actually going through like trauma therapy, and I'm just like, I can make it. I can make it to this thing that I've been trying not to show up to for like a month.
For sure.
And but I made it, and I slapped makeup on. I've been crying, and then it turns out he'd been talking the whole first
Oh yeah,
half.
it's like going on and on and on role playing, and then Satine popped in. I was like, oh my god, who is
nice.
this person? They were joking. Like,
Yeah.
Aw.
yeah. So that's my nerdy confession for today.
Very cool. Well, I'm sure it could be intimidating playing with a master role player like her. So
Well, I was like,
Sure.
we're doing
He
a
just
pilot.
was looking. He was looking at me.
I was just so enthralled. Yeah.
And then I kept doing, because I never flirt with anybody online. Like, I don't flirt with people in games. I usually keep it outside of the game.
sure.
But I kept trying to flirt with him in the game.
Yeah.
And so I'm like hiding behind his character,
Yeah.
using him as a meat shield,
Yeah.
and like kind of doing all this stuff. And then finally, I think he picked up on it.
Yeah.
And he like tentacle wrapped
Yeah,
me.
tentacle raptor to bring her over. My character had like a couple levels in Warlock, and so he was able to use I think it was the
I was gonna sacrifice myself.
Headir's grasp. I think I don't know if
Hidar's,
yeah,
yeah.
Hidar's grasp to grab her and pull her over.
Nice.
Yeah, I asked for consent first though.
There you go.
And I was like, he asked for consent.
It's important even in role playing. You always
Exactly.
got to do it.
Yeah.
Satine, how about you? What's your nerdy confession?
I am a nerdy confession.
Yeah, I know.
All I do is nerdy things. I literally, like, everything I do is in public and so nerdy. I like gardening.
Oh,
I
there you go.
plants. Well, I feel like I need something that's not nerdy to confess.
Yeah, the gardening's an interesting one. Like,
Yeah, I
do you
just like
just
plants.
vegetables or like flowers and succulents and whatnot?
Our entire house is a jungle.
We have a lot of indoor plants.
It takes us a day to water
It takes
our house.
me a day to water.
I have 3 plants.
Yes, you have
I have
3
3
out of
plants
our 25 to 30 plants.
Oh, jeez.
I used to help.
It takes our daughter and I 30 minutes to water the
Oh my
plant.
God.
But now I've got 3 berry trees. I have
Yeah.
2 berry tree
Oh, very
plants, and yeah, I really like.
You know who watered those this morning? Me. I watered them. They were looking a little sad. That'll be.
Yeah,
there's the
they're
nerdy.
really sick as all the nuts.
They were sad because they didn't
Yeah.
have any water, baby.
Oh,
Yeah.
I've been watering them.
Okay.
He's better at this than I am. But I like plants, and yeah, honestly, all I do, my nerdy confession is I live and breathe nerddom
Yeah.
to the point of like, we live inside of like a galaxy.
Baby, you are a nerdy icon.
Yeah.
You just are.
I just am.
You are the epitome of awesome
I live and breathe storytelling.
female fantasy science
I
fiction.
literally
Yeah.
travel the world
Yeah.
teaching people how to play.
Yeah.
Got D&D tattooed on my throat.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
That is
So, yeah.
that is pretty nerdy. I'll give you that.
yeah. And I like space time.
Very cool.
That's it.
Well,
That's it. I'm sorry. I feel very underwhelming.
You are the opposite of underwhelming, baby.
I mean, I think the rest of us really have to prove our nerddom.
Yeah.
I don't think you
Exactly.
have anything to
That's my
prove.
point.
Yeah. And real quick before we go to break, I thought of this on the drive over here today. We do a little segment sometimes called Nerdy Would You Rather, and I thought this would be fun.
The last one was evil.
Yeah, this one's going to be rough too. Would you? And this could go to both of you guys because Jamison, you've DM'd before, I assume.
Oh
right?
yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. So would you rather never be able to DM again or GM or whatever you want to call it, or never be able to be a player again?
Oh wow.
Oh, mine's easy. I would never be a player again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I would rather. I love being a game master. I think I would rather be a player. For me, it would be hard. It's like, could I never write a campaign again, or never like tell a
Yeah.
story? Because I'm much more of a storyteller and a writer.
Sure.
So it's like, could I never play a game or never create a game? That would be really hard. I don't know which I would do. I would probably never play a game again and still want to create a campaign and setting.
Yeah.
I don't think I couldn't stop doing that, but I could stop playing, I guess.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Very-
That's a hard one.
It's a
Yeah.
tough one. It's a tough
I
one.
need to be able to provide a space for other people to play.
Yeah.
That is so enriching for me
Yeah.
to just be there and kind of like toss a bunch of marbles in front of people and watch them try to pick them up.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think personally. So I've been DMing for like 2 years straight now without playing a game,
Yeah.
and maybe it's because I haven't played as a player in so long, but man, I miss it. I just want to like be able to show up to a game and just be able to jump in and solve a mystery or whatever.
I'll
But-
do the next one.
Yeah, okay.
Why not?
We'll see
Oh,
we'll see when that
teamwork.
happens.
Well, we finished this campaign.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we just hit a year in that campaign.
Yeah.
Isn't that fun?
Huh?
But yeah, very cool. All right, well, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk all about your Kickstarter, ongoing Kickstarter. So we'll be right back. And we're back. How'd you like that break? It was pretty.
It was very restful.
I mean-
Full rest.
Well, yeah.
All my
Sure.
hit points back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll be meditation for
Yeah.
us. Yeah.
Very cool. So you guys have launched. What was the launch date of the Kickstarter? I don't
On
remember.
the 22nd.
In
20
April.
Yeah.
22nd. So as of right now, it's 100% funded. And it's like well overfunded. I think last time I checked, you guys were at like 150K. So great.
Yeah, I think we just broke like
153?
Yeah, 153.
153.
I was just emailing back and forth with one of our backers to have their character included, and so that jumped us up by 1,000
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah.
1500,
That's a pricey tier there. So that's awesome. Someone was to be included in that.
It's fun. We did the exact same thing for our last book, the Red Opera, which is here, and it's so cool to actually have people to like immortalize their characters inside of the actual campaign itself, and have people do side quests too. And for myself as like a writer and content creator to take their ideas, and these are people who are usually game masters, not always, sometimes players. They just love their player and want it to be there, but they have such creativity, and so to be able to work with them to bring it and then weave it into the story, sometimes doing a side quest that's like very involved in the like meta story of the campaign, sometimes just a total one-off of just a one shot that they wanted to do. It's just really fun, and I think for them, we had one person who was awesome for the Red Opera that did it as a surprise for his home table. So when they actually ran the campaign, I don't think they've gotten there yet in the story where their characters, they're in there.
Oh,
it's
that's
like
awesome.
in the actual book.
That's so
Yeah,
cool.
it's pretty rad.
That actually is pretty cool.
That's what I love. So.
That's pretty awesome. Can you imagine that? Like you just like running into NPCs or characters that you built. That's awesome.
That would be really cool.
It's pretty rad.
And so now this one is called Sirens: Battle of the Bards, right?
Yep.
And so tell us a little bit about it. Like, what's the setting like? And this is both a campaign and a setting, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we wanted to create a setting and campaign that really focused on what would a city of bards feel like and look like. You don't have to be a bard to enjoy the book, much like you don't have to be a warlock to enjoy our last campaign, which is a warlock focused book, but really leaning into a bardic city, so a city of artists. And our last campaign and setting was a very dark and gloomy place of warlocks and patrons and archfey and all these kind of devilish creatures running around. And we wanted for this campaign to have it feel very, very filled with light, and very spacious and creative. But whenever you have those brightest lights, you also have really deep dark shadows, and so we created a campaign focused around characters being able to enter the city under this guise of joining a band under Vlanya, who is obviously Satine's character from Sirens, that used to be Sirens of the Realms on the Dungeons and Dragons Twitch stream.
Sure.
And now it's just Sirens, and so you are able to kind of vicariously be part of a bardic band, even if that's not necessarily your thing. So you can bring a barbarian, you can bring a sorcerer, whatever you'd like, or you can bring a bard, that works too.
Sure.
And you infiltrate the city to try and thwart these plans of the Emerald Cabal, which is one of the kind of the arch nemesis groups of Sirens. And the Emerald Cabal are trying to take the city over and capture and control the magic essence that is in the oasis waters of this multi-tiered city. And so leaning into this notion of, what would a city run by artists look like, feel like? What would their peril be? And then how can a band or a party of adventurers be kind of that linchpin in either saving the day or turning it to their own way of, we have multiple endings in all of our campaigns and settings because player agency is what makes, TTRPGs fun.
Sure.
So, one of our endings, I don't want to give any spoilers, but in the Red Opera is to take a very, very dark route with some patrons who are pretty darn evil, because that's how some people play, and evil is kind of a perspective. It doesn't mean you have to be like cruel. It's just a matter of perspective.
Selfish.
And so, selfish.
Yeah.
And so we've done a very similar thing with Sirens, which is awesome.
When you said barbarians, I'm like, how would they fit in? I was like, they would definitely just be roadies for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Roadies or
bouncers,
like,
taiko drummers.
Yeah, drummers too. Yeah.
Or just John Belushi from Animal House, just take the loot and just smash it against the wall.
Smash it against someone.
Sorry.
As long as it inspires and evokes emotion, that's an artist. Maybe that's like an experimental percussionist or something.
Yeah.
I would definitely do like an animal from Muppets. I think that's what I would go.
Oh yeah, that would be a fun.
Because that way you could just go insane, like.
Yeah, go berserk on the drums.
Yeah.
And so this city that you've created too, you were showing us some art before, and it's up on the Kickstarter, but it's like multi-tiered too, and so like every tier is like a different like city district, right?
Yeah, so
Oh, yeah, there it is.
That's inside of our Wormwood box. So we have the actual city of Salvaja printed on faux leather inside the actual box
Oh,
itself.
so cool.
Yeah, so every 100 years they build a new disc. They do this grand invocation and they pull down this magical. They ask for it, and the gods either say yes or say no to give them this magical essence inside of the oasis water with the substance called Kesaba, which plays into the story. On year 300, it didn't work, and the invocation wasn't grand enough. So the bards came in and said, hey, we're pretty good at performance. Let us handle this. We'll be able to entertain the gods. And this is the 10th year, and it's the last time the gods say, okay, this has been a grand old show, but we're done now. Yeah. So this is the last time you're going to get it. And so the Grand Chancellor, he is trying to create this capping stone that allows the city to recharge itself using sacred geometry. And so to answer your question, each disc is a different district built every 100 years. And so it has a very different feeling from its predecessors, and it's evolving even more magically and in kind of higher dimensions where it's like elemental plane magic at the very, very height.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. And you know, you briefly touched on it, but like, why bards this time? You know, is the plan to hopefully like do one for each class, like a centric campaign on each one?
I love settings. I love worlds, and to look from the lens of like what would a warlock city look like? Sure. What would a bardic city look like? What would a sorcerer city look like? Of a place where like that is the majority group in that location. It has its own benefits. It has its own drawbacks. Would have its own enemies and things like that. And then eventually to have all of these disparate cities be interconnected and being able to interact with each other for kind of like meta campaigning, I think is really rad.
And on top of that, I've been doing Sirens for about the last 4 years. It started on D&D, and I want to keep going. It used to be an all-girl bard band on tour through the realms, and my character is a spy master who spies our bards, because bards and musicians and artists can infiltrate into a lot of different areas.
Sure.
They can be nobles and they can be street rats, but they can get in places. So we basically, when we met last year, I loved what he was doing and he loved what I was doing. So we kind of just brought it together. So why bards? Well, we love each other and we love creating. So we merged, we joined forces.
Yeah. And we also wanted to approach the same with the Warlock book too. I think Warlocks were a pretty under-leveraged class.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think they were just really cool. And I think that bards kind of have been getting a lot of hate too.
So
yeah.
People have been giving me crap about bards since I started this. They're like,
sure.
Oh, but I hate bards. People hated bards back in the day. And what I was hoping to do with this live show was show people that you can actually play a lot of different kinds of bards. And they just released the College of Whispers and the College of Swords, which actually gives a different lens to the bard. And so we're taking it going, all right, what if you had a bard that was a dex-based bard that actually didn't need verbal components, because their art was their body and their performance with their body. They're masters, they're bodybuilders, they're dancers, aerialists, gymnasts. Yeah. Or what if it was an intelligence-based bard? And that's going to be like your architect, your jewelry designer. This is those sound very different, or your cartographer. Those are people who like celebrate math, and
thanks. Our cat is joining the conversation.
Happens all the time.
Yeah. So those are, we're trying to look at it at different ways. And also I talk to a lot of people. I go to conventions all the time. There are outgoing people and there's people that aren't so outgoing. So we're also developing bards for introverted and extroverted people.
Oh,
because
very interesting.
Not everyone wants to sing and perform. Yeah. Some people want to craft. We're looking at these Wormwood boxes that we just got in, and it really takes a master craftsman to put this together. And so, maybe it'll smell a little bit like an artificer, but what if an artificer was a master craftsman and actually was form and function,
right.
versus putting things together just for function.
Yeah, instead of making gadgets or whatever, they're making pieces of art that are functional.
Yeah, I think bards get a bad rap because they're always trying to seduce people, I think is what it really
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
That's old old-fashioned way to think about
Yeah.
it, you know. And
Yeah.
what if you had an architect bard and they went to this university in Salvata, they understand structure and how to put things together and how to like create load-bearing frames.
Yeah.
So they could pull, like, if it was me, I would do like a mold earth structure thing to guard my friends, you know, to block it. And maybe that gives an extra hit points or something.
Cover and fortifications.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then like a barbarian that you were talking about before, you know, instead of leaning on charisma as their stat, they can have strength be their primary stat. And then, you know, I think it's really exciting to then take it into a combat perspective too. For a dex-based bard, you know, someone like a monk who can be a, you know, dancer, you know, really leaning into the art form of fighting as well. So
yeah, the martial arts.
Yeah.
And it's really cool because you can either, you know, be a level 9 in one of these subclasses, or if you already have a character and you want to bring it in here and take some subclasses, we're designing them so that there's something for you here that you don't have to worry about, oh, I really need to make sure my charisma's high. Well, what if you don't? What if you want a low charisma? You can still be a performer and have a low charisma. You know, fine motor skills make a difference. Strength, we just found out, jewelry making is mostly a strength-based thing.
Can be, yeah.
It can be a strength-based thing.
So all these subclasses you mentioned, they're in the book?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
These are all included. Yeah.
Yeah, we have 10 subclasses.
10 subclasses. Yeah. Approach from different colleges. So we basically structured that Salvata has a university, not just a college, but a university where you can go and you can learn these different kind of elements to kind of almost like create your own major and kind of create your own subclass within this. And there's kind of, it's categorized into 10 different sectors. But
very much designed after art school. So I went to the Academy of Art University.
Me too.
Yay!
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, you get it. Yeah, you get it. So instead of like, I am a stop motion bard, you know, and I do claymation. No, you're actually in the sculpting department, you know, or you're in the painting department. So this would be, you know, our dex-based bard would be the College of Anatomy. And so that kind of describes that genre. People are masters at their physique. But it's also, what is an artist? An artist communicates. They're a master communicator and the communication evokes emotion. So, you know, maybe you want to scare people away or make people be allured towards you. That's what bards do. Yeah. And so we're looking at bards that are, you know, writers, that are even a mixologist. So someone who's a bartender.
Nice.
You know,
like Tom Cruise from Cocktails.
Yeah,
it's
sure.
inspiring. It makes you want to do things like drink. And, you know, maybe that's distracting. So the other college you could take would be, we have a lot of all these, but the two that are my favorite, College of Geometry, celebrating the maths, celebrating the sacred geometry. And you can see that in Salvata. We actually use a lot. We used Metatron's cube for the design. You can actually see it here. So, you know, I did go to art school. We have a whole team of artists, but I got to design the logo of Salvata, which is Metatron's cube, includes all the different platonic solids, which are your dice, including the D10, which I believe is not in there. I just want to make sure that we had all the dice covered.
Sure.
Yeah. And when you look at the city from the top down, and we'll have illustrations of this in the book, it actually has Metatron's cube form in it, which is pretty rad.
Very cool. And so when you're creating a setting like this, and or like the Red Opera, right? It was called Red. So like when you're doing world building on this scale, and you're not just writing a one shot for your friends, like where do you even start? Do you start with like the geographical setting, or do you start with the deities involved, or just an idea kind of thing?
Well, you start first with the dream, and then you take, it's a great question. I like to start first with, I love maps. And so I like to start first understanding where the location is. And there's really kind of two different styles. There's kind of the top-down style and the bottom-up style. I'm very much a top-down style writer.
Okay.
And we have Rick Hines is another writer on our team. He's very much of the top-down, but also does bottom-up as well. For me, and as creative director, I will say, okay, what is my overall framework? What is the setting? And what are the key pain points in this location? So who are the major players? How are they interacting? And where is the conflict? By understanding where the conflict is, you can then interject where your characters will actually be able to be a lever on that conflict. And if it's just a story like a book, then you get to decide how that goes. But if you're creating a campaign, you then have that lever be up to the player, where the player then gets to decide. And it means that you then have to create all those avenues of how it goes. And so I then, once you have kind of that level of abstract kind of notion of top down, you then go down another layer. Okay, you have the main key players who have put them into positions of power and who are they dependent on. And so then by understanding, you can then get several additional layers of kind of level down of the power structure, and then understanding what are key resources that they're requiring. So in this setting, it's Quesaba. In the Red Opera, it was this thing that we have called the Well of Souls, and that allowed patrons to be able to communicate to would-be warlocks much easier. And so anybody that came to Yonkoth, our city in the Red Opera, they can take a patron subclass super easy. Where normally you have to go to great lengths to communicate with a patron, in Yonkoth, boom, it's super easy.
Sure.
Okay, well, what happens to a city when patrons can whisper in anybody's ears? Well, it creates chaos. And so Dorian, the Accursed King, he balances all of these patron packs. Okay, what happens to him when he balances all these patron packs? He starts to go crazy. Okay, what happens when your king starts to go crazy? And then you can see all of these things kind of spiral out, and then you throw your players in, you let them kind of play in this playground. And Salvata and Sirens Battle of the Bards the same way, just with a more bardic influence.
Yeah, it was really cool. So it's the two of us as co-creative directors, and then we have a writing director and an art director. So it was the four of us that came together and created this.
Yep.
And yet we basically are our own adventuring team in the the quest of making this book. And so it was really awesome to put ideas in, and then we all kind of yes-anded each other to keep developing it. And because of the structure, which is similar to how I write campaigns, so it was very easy for us to go this route. It was like a piece of cake.
Yeah, and we had so much lore already from Sirens too.
Yeah,
sure.
Because you've been running Sirens for such a long time, so we were able to say, okay, these are the key players from Sirens. How do they fit into this setting? How does Lanya fit in, and how does the Emerald Cabal fit in? And it's just, again, for us as storytellers, like this is why we get up in the morning, to be able to tell stories and then share them with other players.
Yeah, but it's different than doing it by yourself.
Yeah.
Like you've written a novel, like I've done all sorts of weird things, and writing stories on your own, it's cool, but I'm finding now that it's so much more fulfilling. I wake up and I'm looking forward to our executive team meetings, and giving ideas and sharing ideas and elaborating on ideas with each other. There's not many things cooler than that.
Yeah, I imagine like when you're working on a team, and it's part of the reason I keep this guy around.
Probably.
It's much easier to like bounce ideas off of each other, and if I get stuck on something,
I fix it.
He fixes it. Or if like we're like, hey, we don't have an idea for an episode this week, he's like, well, watch this shitty movie and then we'll talk about it.
They're not always shitty.
They are always terrible.
They are good, bad movies.
Yeah.
Oh, I like those.
See? Thank you.
I love good bad movies.
Thank you. See?
I like making fun of good bad movies.
Either way, as long as you had a good time, then it succeeded.
Sure.
I mean, I feel like I was trained for that from MST3K. They trained me at a young age to appreciate awesome bad things.
Yeah.
There are good bad movies that you like. Bloodsport is a good bad movie.
I mean,
it's a really good bad movie.
Thank you.
I mean, I don't know if it's bad so much as it's just from the 80s.
No. Like
No, you're totally right.
Hocus Pocus is also a good bad movie.
I don't know that Hocus Pocus is a bad
Yes,
movie.
it is.
No, that's a good movie. That's actually a good movie. We just introduced our daughter to Red Sonja.
Yeah,
Ooh.
Red Sonja.
Oh, nice.
Our daughter is a ninja warrior princess.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
she wears unicorns and knows how to kill people. Like, we're very,
At least she thinks she does.
she thinks she
Of
does.
course.
And she plots that out very well. She wants to, kill the bad guys.
Yeah.
And so I was working on something, probably a campaign, and I threw Red Sonja on. And
Have you guys seen? Do you know that movie?
I know of
Is
it.
this-
Yeah, it's got
like-
Arnold. He's Conan.
Yeah, yeah,
he's
yeah.
not Conan.
Yeah.
Faux
Yeah,
Conan.
Yeah.
And she's used to, we have a lot of Boris Vallejo and Julie Bell art books all over, so
Yeah.
she's used to seeing like warrior people
Yeah,
everywhere.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so I turned that on and she's like,
Yeah.
what is this?
Totally hooked. Yeah, totally.
That's
But you
so
could
awesome.
tell it was from the 80s too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's so funny
100%.
because Arnold's like, hi, I am not Conan here.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's so funny.
I'm Bronan.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, 'cause
We
he's,
know who he is.
Kind of cool and a little bit of a biker.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Because it's
He's wearing like a
there's no
leather
bike.
cut. Yeah, he's wearing like a leather
Yeah.
cut. Yes. So
It's
funny.
kind of like that Sean Connery movie where he's wearing the red outfit.
Oh, is that the big thong thing where it's like
yeah,
goes
yeah.
Oh,
remember?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah,
And
and a
also,
mustache, I think.
of
I
course.
love that movie.
Yeah. He's got like
It starts
little
with a Z.
pistol
Yeah.
laser guns or something, right?
Yeah. You
Something
should
like
watch
that.
it. That
Oh
one's
my
really
god!
good.
I don't think I know the picture. I've not seen
Yeah.
the movie though.
So
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
it's a Conan Gore style movie, but he's also wearing this like metal studded vest
Yeah.
Yeah,
and also his great sword, and you're like,
it's the best
all
part. Of,
right.
the best part about fantasy is you can do whatever you want.
Whatever you want.
And they
yeah.
sure did.
That's awesome.
Someone should get Arnold on a D&D game. That would be amazing.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it would be great. Though
That
you
would
could
be
probably only do like one voice. You know what I
Probably.
mean? Just
Barbarian.
Just the Arnold voice.
He probably would be really good in the 80s. I
Yeah.
wonder how it would be now, because now you turn politician, so that's
Yeah.
like a whole different person.
He'd be a barbarian bard. Yeah.
Okay, the politician.
Yeah,
part,
yeah,
Yeah.
Politician, like a barbarian who then transferred into bard, like
Yeah.
like a politician bard.
Yeah, with
That would be pretty
proficiency in
But that's
diplomacy.
One of the things that we're looking into and developing is like a motivational speaker type of bard.
Oh,
So
interesting.
it's like, and so it's kind of College of Eloquence, but not really just eloquence. It's like how can you move people?
Sure.
You know.
Sure, really.
So
Not
where would like an insult comic, like a bard, where would that fall?
Oh, we've on Sirens we've had a pun bard. That's a thing.
Oh,
That's
the
a
pun
real-
bard.
We
That's
had
the
a
class I'm
comedian
playing.
bard. Sax Carr from Geek and Sundry was our comedian bard, and that was a funny episode because he was a dwarf kidnapped by centaurs and minotaurs to perform in this comedy club outside of Waterdeep.
That is terrible, but awesome at the same time.
That's amazing. I love it. So now, say one of us is creating our own world. We want to create our own campaign, whatnot. What are some like pitfalls that you've seen and maybe worked past, whether it's in this particular one or a past one? What are some like common things that people mess up on?
I think that sometimes one of the things that I find is that people may either latch onto ideas that they've seen done elsewhere and have it feel too similar without necessarily making it their own, or feel that they have to be so wildly unique that it feels a little far-fetched. I think that there's a really good middle ground. There's nothing wrong with taking inspiration from other stories, but then really leaning into what motivates you. If you were a person in that place, what would like get you to do the thing, and really put yourself in there. I see sometimes a lot of people just kind of throwing in these like massive set pieces for kind of shock value,
Sure.
and that can be really cool. But really focusing in on what does the individual care about, and usually 9 times out of 10, the individual usually cares about other individuals. So it's about relationship, and so understanding, okay, what are the relationships between the characters, and it doesn't have to be with if you're creating a campaign world. The party maybe doesn't have those relationships yet. They will as the campaign goes. But what are the relationships between the other characters? How do they interact with each other? Why do they interact with each other? And what are their fears, their hopes, and their desires? And these other characters, these NPCs, are the main characters of a book, a novel, graphic novel. They need to really have those human emotions. It doesn't matter if someone's a cyborg, someone's like a dragonkin, whatever it is. We are all humans. You know, even we would love to be elves, but we are humans, and elves would be similar in this way, that it's the relationships between each other and our relationships to our environment that's the most important. So I see people sometimes lose sight of that and focusing on either set pieces too much or some sort of special magical ability, and losing sight of the actual relationships between the main characters. Because that's what like, if you think about Game of Thrones, like magic wasn't really part of that much.
Right.
It's the relationship between the characters. In Game of Thrones, I mean, I wasn't really a fan of how it ended, but like, right up until that point, oh my god, it was like one of my favorite shows on television. It was fantastic because you're like, what's going to happen next? It's like a soap opera, it's a drama.
100%.
That's what people care about.
Yeah, I would say timelines. So everything that we do, there's a timeline for. I do a lot of coaching, storytelling coaching, and people have all these wonderful ideas. Everyone's got a badass idea, but people often don't give themselves appropriate timelines. And I often mean they don't give themselves tight enough timelines. They're like, oh, I'll get to it. I'll finish this the end of next year, and that's already too long.
So you need to actually creating the work itself.
I got
That's great advice.
You know, do the thing, and if you're like, okay, I'm gonna create something in 9 months. Now you've got a framework, and this is how I build campaigns too.
Okay.
Right? If you know how far ahead and what that end goal looks like, you can actually start scheduling everything within that time frame.
Set goals for yourself.
Yeah. So, and by setting goals, you are now giving yourself homework, and you have to fulfill those things. And then, if you say them out loud, you really do.
I gotcha. That's a really good tip, because the first one shot that I ever wrote, like just on my own without using a module or something, I was going up to my cabin with my family's cabin with a couple friends, and they were all new D&D players, and I was like, and they were like, we want to play, we want to learn how to play. I'm like, okay, well, we'll create characters online, with each other, and then we'll go up there and we'll do a one shot. And so I set like the parameters. I have to get it done by this trip. And then I also had like the goal of making a complete D&D experience, including combat, puzzles, mysteries, and like a big bad guy at the end. Yep. And so I think by like just having that timeline where I have to have it done by Friday when we head up there, I think that really helped out. But yeah, it turned out really well.
How did they derail the campaign?
They really didn't. It went exactly as I planned, which was awesome. I based it on the Lord of the Rings Mines of Moria. Okay. And so basically it's a dungeon dive kind of thing, and but they get down there, and it's one of the player characters was a dwarf, and it was his uncle's dwarf kingdom that we went to, and they get down there and it's just laid waste. There's dead dwarves and orcs everywhere. And then there's this evil wizard that kind of like keeps pestering them and like fighting them and then teleporting away kind of thing. And then at the end, on the last level of the dungeon, they fight the wizard. But then when they defeat the wizard, they realize that the wizard was trying to defeat the Balrog, who was like inhabiting and corrupting the king of this dungeon. And so then the giant. It was I think I used a pit fiend or something like that for the big bad guy. He comes down and they have to fight that. So that's
rad. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, I think that's what kind of helped me was that setting myself parameters that I'm like, I definitely want like a cool puzzle in it. So I had ink that disappeared when you run flame over it and stuff like that for them to figure out, and then I really want cool combat. So there's a bunch of orcs and goblins and stuff like that. So yeah, it's fun.
Nice.
All right. So the Kickstarter, what are some of your favorite tiers on it? Like your favorite rewards, and then where can people find it? Like anything else you want people to know about it?
Yeah. So we wanted to make it accessible to as many people as possible.
Sure.
So we've got the PDF available. And we've got the standard edition, and then we have the special edition. Standard edition is, UV. It's really beautiful. It's full color. The special edition has It's tungsten X hammered metal paper
Ooh.
with foil print. It is so sexy. Oh my gosh. And then the limited edition, I'm signing the book and the Dungeon Master screen. Finally, I get to design a Dungeon Master screen, one that is useful.
There you go. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So that one has a slip case so that if you're the Dungeon Master, you have everything in one.
Awesome.
Everything we have a part of this is completely efficient and functional. You know, we've got awesome add-ons. Kickstarter did a cool thing this time where you have your tier, you pick your tier, and then you can add on things on top of that immediately instead of waiting to backer kit after the Kickstarter ends.
Oh, interesting.
So yeah, we've got those. We also have
those limited edition ones are going to be signed by you too.
Oh yeah,
which is
I'm
pretty
signing
rad.
that.
Yeah.
Also, we have partnered with a bunch of virtual tabletops. We've got Roll20, Fantasy Grounds, Foundry VTT, and Shard. And a lot of people are playing virtually nowadays.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we've been playing virtually for a year now because
COVID.
we started right when COVID dropped, and you know, there's a learning curve to it, but it's also really fun. There's definitely less prep, which is kind of nice. Like, you know, I don't have to write out handwritten notes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
you know,
that's
and
cool.
these have all of them in that. You know, all the handouts, all the tokens are taken care of. The entire book is set up so that you can just click the chapter and then all of it set out for you. We also have a full orchestral soundtrack, and we're working with other artists too to kind of add different types of eclectic music to it. So, you know, you can listen to our music on Sirenscape. We actually have partnered with Sirenscape, so you can get an adventure pack sound set for each of the levels. And
that will include like music and like sound effect atmosphere.
And sound effects too. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Very
so
cool.
there are things that happen. And actually, you can try it right now.
It's for free.
So we
have a free download of it. Yeah.
We have a free download of Chapter 1. We have a free download of 2 of the 4 VTTs, Foundry and Shard.
Nice.
That's a sample. And then we have Chapter 1 on Sirenscape, and they're all free for everyone to check out right now.
That's awesome.
We want people to like not just hear about it, but actually experience it.
Really be able to get to understand exactly what we're doing.
Yeah. And even to the point, we've got a couple other tiers, you know, more package style tiers that you can get the wormwood trays, and we've got these special dice, and we wanted to make
the dice were awesome. They're like different. I don't know if you've seen the picture. They're all different shapes and stuff. They're not your standard polyhedral.
You've never seen anyone do anything like this before. So those are very, very unique. Like nobody's done these.
Yeah.
We have them in resin and in metal. If you want to just go all baller out, we got your Purple Heart brass inlay. You know. Yeah. So we have that, but we also wanted to give people the opportunity to immortalize their characters. So you can do one tier is their character, and we'll make art for it as well, and that goes into the book. And we also have people can write a side quest for this, and that goes in the book too. And it's really awesome. We have a whole team of writers and artists, and we're really encouraging people to want to participate in this. It's not just us making stuff and shoving it in people's faces.
Sure.
We're like, come be a part of this community, be a part of what we're making, what we're doing. And it's awesome to see people really enjoy that and participate. So we've got those, we got campaign coins. We have these really cool minis. Are the other minis right there?
Yeah.
So
these are our minis from the Red Opera.
Yeah.
Nice.
These came out
with the Red Opera, you know, we made these awesome minis with mixed dimensions, and these are printed in color.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So the ones that we have for Sirens are actually printed in color, and they're translucent printed in color.
Oh,
yeah, there's translucent magic effects. Yeah.
Oh, very cool.
It's really rad. Yeah.
I can't even think of how they would do that.
I don't know.
So they have this crazy patented technology, because you can do it. It normally it's just super expensive,
right?
And because it's super hard. And I remember when we were talking to the leader of that company, I was like, "That's rad. No one's gonna be able to afford that, man. Like, I'm really sorry. Like, we can't do that. Like, sure, we can design it as a design team, but like, can't have it be, you know, like $100 a mini." He's like, "No, dude, $20 a mini for retail." And I was like, "I don't believe you." He's like, "No one does. It's true. No one believes you." I was like, "Okay, let's try it out." And literally $20 a mini,
so beautiful,
fully color printed with translucent magic effects. And I was like, "Okay, next I want you to get LEDs and sound effects."
Yeah,
and so
exactly.
Kyle Kincaid of Mixed Dimensions just the other day said, "Okay, this is the guy I'm working on, working with. They can put LEDs in it and sound effects." He's like, "Were you joking when you said you could design design that? I was like, no, we can definitely design it. Let's figure
That's
it out.
Oh,
awesome.
they're really doing that. That's not a joke.
Yeah. Well,
Oh, wow.
They are really trying to do
Yeah.
that.
Sure,
I'm
sure.
not saying that they are. We would like to design something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be so cool. Or like even have like on the bottom of it have like a QR code that opens up like a soundboard on
Oh
your
yeah,
phone.
that would probably
That
make
would
more
be a
sense.
dope idea too.
Well, we do have is it RF tags? in
Yeah,
these?
there's so I'll and it, so it's so hard. There's a lot we can talk about and there's a lot we can't talk about.
Sure.
So on the bottom of our minis in Sirens Battle of the Bards, there are RF tags. And if a person were to wonder why you would ever put an RF tag in your miniature,
You can imagine.
you
why.
can imagine some of the reasons why you might do that with where virtual gaming
and
is
where
heading.
what we're doing.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we have currently 4 different virtual table VTTs that we're working with.
So
Yeah.
Very
yeah.
There's a lot of cool stuff.
I want to
There's a
know
lot-
more, but I know they can't tell us. Like,
Yeah.
I think I
There's
may
a
have
lot of
figured it
cool
out. I'll
stuff.
tell you after.
It's only $20 for a mini, which I was like, I love all of like cutting edge technology. I was like, but if it's not affordable to people, like, I don't know, like otherwise it's just a cool idea, you know, like there
Right.
are legitimately flying cars now. No one can afford
Of
them. So
course.
it's kind of
Right.
the moot point, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So we
awesome.
got a lot of fun stuff.
Yeah, like we're big fans of Wormwood. We've I think we did like one episode on accident about them.
yeah, I don't think
Where
we intended.
we brought our stuff and we're like, look how cool this is.
We didn't intend to do a whole episode on it, and it just ended up being.
Yeah, and I like that on because I was browsing through the Kickstarter a couple days ago trying to figure out which level I wanted to go for, and I do like that you can like buy the minis separately, add them on to the thing.
Exactly.
I know, God, it looks so good.
Yeah, I was telling Cody we should get a character, put it in the book, just name it nerdswithfriendspodcast.com.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
That
You
would
guys,
be
you guys could
amazing. You
totally,
should totally do
be
that.
bards. Yeah, totally be bards that have like some sort of
That's
like
your branding.
Yeah.
and it goes out like and you're just like a podcasting bards. That would be rad.
yeah, we just sit
That'd be cool.
we
We
sit
could
in the
totally
We
corner.
could do that. We
Yeah.
could figure it out and make it work inside of self.
It wouldn't be mics. What would it just be like?
No, we
megaphones?
just sit in the corner or like on a soapbox and we're town criers or whatever,
Yeah,
and
it
just
would be
like
the both of you.
Yeah.
just
And you
yelling
have
our opinions at people.
Totally.
So
No,
it
you're
could
right.
totally be the both of you too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
We figured it out.
we may have to. We'll look into it. We'll cook the books and see if we can do that one. Well, that's so awesome. Well, I think everyone should go check it out right now. It's live on Kickstarter, and as of the day coming out, it is still good for another 20 days or something like that. I think
I believe.
as of May 4th.
Well,
And ends on the.
it ends on my birthday.
Yeah, ends on,
Oh.
ends on Satine's birthday.
yeah,
There you go.
May 22nd.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, nice.
There you go. Yeah, so 18 days left. So check it out right now. It's live on Kickstarter. Where can everyone find you on social media and whatnot?
Thebardbook.com, thebardbook.com, thebardbook.com. Satine Phoenix everywhere also.
Yeah, and I'm Stone Jamison on the internet, and people can also find me at apotheosisstudios.com. And if people are interested in a Warlock campaign book, that's theredopera.com.
You can also get that on the Kickstarter.
And you
as
can get
well.
that on the Kickstarter.
Oh, okay.
As an add-on.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, where you
So
can get
you're
it off
like-
our website.
I want to start collecting all the books.
Yeah, I know.
You can get all the books.
Yeah.
Build this whole world of the Apotheosis like repertoire kind of thing. That's awesome.
Totally.
I maybe have some ideas of things that we're
Nice.
doing in
Some
the
fun
future.
stuff.
I mean, for instance, his character, it's so funny. So they used to say, don't put as a dungeon master,
Mhm.
don't be so vain to put your character in your story. We both have
Yeah.
characters in our
Yeah.
Gotcha.
story because
Yeah.
Well, Stephen King did that in the Dark Tower series, and
Yeah.
it's like the best book series ever. So
Yeah.
yeah,
It's just fun to have a player character in there, because then you can take that character and weave them, and people actually really start to build a relationship with
Sure.
that character in a fun way. I mean, if you think about like how old is the Superman character, Spider-Man character, and there's it's like this is just an iconic classic,
Mhm.
and so like Vanya is becoming that now for people who play
you
Dungeons
can
and Dragons.
play her on Idle Champions.
Yeah, and she's in
Like,
she's
awesome.
in video
Right,
games,
she's
like
in a video
legitimately
game.
in a video
Our
game.
cat is in that video game.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, the cat is actually in the video game too. Yeah, I'm not yet in the game. The cat's more important than me. The cat's been around longer than I am.
That's so awesome. Well, yeah. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We really appreciate it, and I think everyone should go check out Kickstarter right now.
Support.
Support it, and then also you can support us if you go to patreon.com/nerdswithfriends, or nerdswithfriends.com for all of our info as well.
OnlyFans to come.
OnlyFans to come
I'm
very,
excited.
very soon.
Your OnlyFans should be you playing the guitar.
Yeah.
And like guitar could be like placed strategically.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. I like that. Yeah, just doing the intro song live.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
naked. That'd be fun. And then again, thank you for all of our patrons who, help support this show. We appreciate it. Christian, thank you so much, as always.
Fun as always.
And again, thank you guys very much for taking the time out of your day. We do appreciate it. And to all the nerds out there, remember, you're not alone. You're with friends. This is Nerds with Friends. Thank you, and good night.